So, good morning. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Let me kick off my presentation today of a little story which I had last week with my colleague Sonia. We were teaching young entrepreneurs from Ethiopia on how to develop a business model and how to present it to investors. And what we didn't know is that two of them, being Lemlem and Nathnael, presenting to us a business case on dried fruits in Ethiopia. Because they said, hey, you know, the problem of the situation in Ethiopia is so many fruits get rotten in Ethiopia, and we thought we need to be doing something. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is what happened to us about 3 years ago when we kicked off the Mango project and we discovered this sentence from the president in Tanzania. He said, we need to complete the full value-added chain. Look at the mango, for instance. We produce so much of that fruit, export it for processing, and at the same time import mango juice. And we can't produce, or why can't we produce the juice ourselves? And that's exactly what the young entrepreneurs did ask in their presentation to the investors. And honestly speaking, by the time I saw the amount they needed for the business, which was roughly $2,500, I was shocked. So I said, I'm happy to be already doing a project together with Safe Food on the mango. And what we are trying to show today is exactly what has been happening on the past 2 years. When we kicked off the project with Safe Food, the Messe Düsseldorf, and local people on ground, we found out that approximately 64% of all mangoes in Kenya are lost every year. So the loss of mangoes was so large that we said we need to be doing something about it, and we have a great opportunity to kick off a project to immediately reduce food loss locally. I just had the discussion, most of the time in countries like India or Africa, it starts with the farmers. With us, the problem is more on the plate side, but here we could see it is a problem still on the farm side. We also found out with the discussions we had locally with farmers and organizations that only 2% of the total mangoes in Kenya are exported and only 5% are processed. All other mangoes either rotten, fall off the tree and are not used, or only sold into the local markets, which obviously is a very, very short value chain. I tried to buy a Seeberger dried mango in Switzerland on Friday, and the cost you see here is actually still a euro amount, but in Swiss franc it was not 259 but 375 Swiss franc. So I had to again think about the value chain and the margin which is in the business. And if you compare the buying price of 20 cents per fresh kilo mango in Kenya, and you see a sales price of 259, which is per 100-gram dried mangoes, the difference is 1,259%. So 1,259% in the value chain, where currently in Kenya, potentially, most of it is not done. As we heard from the president in Tanzania, he exports it. Someone produces it and brings it back, and which is a very, very sad story. So the question is, within the whole value chain, how can we increase this value add being done locally? How can we reduce, in the same time, food loss locally in Kenya? And within the project, we observed the whole value chain from the cultivation to the sales and marketing. cultivation. We traveled to the growing areas. We had a look at which mango we'll take, which mango we need to buy, which mangoes is ripe, which is not ripe, which one of the 200 different mangoes in Kenya do we take, which one is good for processing. And you won't believe there's a lot of challenges which we encountered locally on ground, but within the past 2 years, we could identify the right mango, we could identify the farmers, we could identify the organizations, and we then had a look at who is already in the business of processing, who is already having knowledge in the sales side. So we looked at the production side, we looked at the capacities, we looked at the technologies which are on ground, and we did find out that at the moment, the production locally is still on a very rural, very low level. So coming to the issue of processing and packaging, this is where the Safe Food Organization and everybody can bring in value. Because almost 45% of all the problems locally identified can be tackled within Safe Food. So we went back to Messe Düsseldorf, Safe Food Organization, and said, hey, you can tackle 45% already with the existing companies you have on partners in the project. So let's see that within the project, we'll try to bring in the partners together. We spoke about bringing partners together. We thought, let's bring the partners together and see whom we can bring together to tackle that 45% plus the remaining other percent, which is obviously the 36, which is the production and the marketing, but also the loss from seasonality, unattractive varieties and everything, which we obviously can only do by selecting the right ones. After we had the discussion with Messe Düsseldorf and Safe Food, we then said, we need to create a vision. This project needs a vision, and we called it the Mango Change Vision. And it was to use the partnerships within Safe Food to set up and support a local production and sell competitive products for local and export markets. We've all discussed, yeah, it is nice to do something charity here and there. The members all said, yeah, it's been nice to have a label, something. But everybody finally, and the local farmers, and the local companies, and the local players want to do business. I mean, our CEO, who I'm going to introduce to you in a minute, doesn't say, oh, I'm doing this because I need to do something for the farmers. Yes, she's happy to do something for the farmers, but finally she's doing business. The first thing she came to us the other day said, hey, you won't believe it, in my business last year we did 160,000 euro turnover with dried mangoes in Kenya. And we're like, whoa, this is good. Besides the fact that obviously mangoes are safe, farmers are supported with the business, we thought this is an absolutely great achievement already in the business. And the partners which are listed here and others have already been very, very strongly supporting from this project with machines they have provided to the project where people pack mangoes. We have already a strong partner with on ground who has provided and made business on the provision of pouches. And we have other partners who have already been consulting and helping us in the success of the project. The production facilities, which you can see here, are already set up. So people are actively saving food by producing dried mangoes in the Kenyan market already. They are distributed and sold to do business, which is currently only done in the local market. But even the local market, where everybody would believe, hey, the Kenyan might not have the buying power to buy this, is wrong. There is an existing market in existing retail chains locally, and this is something which we are currently pursuing. We are currently pursuing local sales in the market because we believe that this doesn't create a win-win, but I'm coming to that later, a win-win-win-win situation. Tay, whom we started doing business with about 2.5 years ago, is the CEO of the company whom we are partnering with, whom we are supporting. And I would love to give you a short 2-minute video on her, the current business, so that you actually have a grab and a feeling for what is happening locally.
The Azuri Health team can produce a ton of dried pineapples, mangoes, bananas and papayas in a month. And it's all done in this makeshift factory in Tay Mukunya's childhood backyard. She's the managing director of Azuri Health, which she started in 2010 to help smallholder farmers get their produce to market. Azuri Health is now sold in 4 major supermarket chains across the region, sourcing fresh fruits from between 400 to 1,000 farmers, depending on the season. The transition from marketing cigarettes to starting a health food company, Tay admits, was not easy, though she does credit her experience at British American Tobacco for her shrewd selling skills she sports today.
When I started, I thought it was going to be easy. I was going to be a millionaire in one year, and I'd calculated my savings, and I quit my job, and there I was. And up to today, I don't really feel like I've reached even halfway, because there's so much to learn, so much to do. I didn't know the business, the industry. I was a marketer. I'd done a BA in economics, so that had nothing to do with agriculture, but here I was in the agricultural field. When you're going to work with the women in the shamba, you've got to, work with them, roll up your sleeves and get muddy and get dusty, speak Kiswahili, speak Kikuyu, speak all the languages that you can with whoever you're approaching, and so that was a learning experience for me.
Tay hasn't allowed her circumstances to limit her company's productivity that sees Azuri Health rake in an annual turnover of 16 million shillings. But she is looking to expand now.
In the next 5 years, we will have a facility that we are already constructing in Ruiru. We've got some partners, they're German partners. And so we're putting up structure, equipping ourselves so that we can be able now to scale up and go regional. Already we have stepped into the regional market, and then also internationally.
So, what we want to bring along is Tay, with the company and the Safe Food partners, is ready to scale up, is ready to improve, is ready to export. So the question is, what is packaging and what are the players or the Safe Food players bringing into the game? And there are so many different aspects about the right packaging, about the right movement in, let's say, making the mango longer preservative, etc., etc. So we believe that the packaging plays a key role for her. Within the process, in the timeline, I think finally we have reached a stage where the scalability is there. As on the last picture, you can see a plot which has been selected for the increase in sale. Currently, we stay with the company together. We're us managing this project. We have an architect on the project who has designed the whole production facility, who is currently in the position to kick off the project. And I can just invite everyone, when they come to Kenya, to have a look at the progress which is happening. And we believe that a major step and a major next upscale is happening in Kenya. This is the way it will finally look like. So the first things are really on the move, and we believe the idea about the whole project is really kicking off. This is one, I would say, a short or little example why this project has also been benefiting to the partners. This is a completely newly designed for Azuri pouch, which has been provided by WIP, but it's not a charity thing. There has been an order placed, so the first order for these pouches has been placed on the company. The first sale has been made, and with the consultation of Tay, with the consultation of the business, with the thought, what do we need to be doing in the market? How can we subsequently, later on, get into the discussion with Tay on the exports market? How do we work with the Safe Food logo? How do we bring in the business term long term? There has been a licensing agreed with Safe Food to say, out of every sale, we are making a little margin or a little turnover in this, so it can be a long-term project. And we believe this is something which has been designed already, which has been placed an order in, and which is taken, as the title says, on a trade fair in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania to show the highlight of the project and to show what the project locally but also internationally can do. So taking everything into a summary, I would believe this is not a win-win, but a win-win-win-win situation. A win-win-win situation for the farmers, for Azuri, for the consumers who have suddenly the access to nutritional and health food, which they don't have if they are at work or whatever, and obviously to the safe food partners who have been already having gained knowledge on the market and contributed to the project. The key potential in this project, I would believe, as a final note, is immense. Everybody we spoke to says, I have a market in the UK, I have a market in the US, I have a discussion with this and this retailer, and we believe we can go big. So instead of thinking what next paper can we do, etc., which is obviously important, but we believe there has been concrete steps done, land has been acquired and is selected. More than 50,000 euro have been contributed to the project for saving the mango. 2 packaging machines already have been committed to the project to pack and properly do the dried mango ready for export. There is a sales done by Tay and the company of 160,000, which I believe is good. And the first order has been officially placed for one of the Safe Food members, and we believe that Tay is already exporting within Africa, but we believe the whole market is enormous, and I would love to thank you very much for listening to the presentation. And if you have any questions, go and approach Sonia, who has been key to the project for the past 2 years, or come and ask me if there's any doubt. Thank you very much.